everybody. Welcome to the podcast. And I'm really excited to, bring interesting people and my friends and just expertise to the table. And today I have my friend Ricki, who's here with us. So what we're going to start with is just a quick introduction. Ricki, give us kind of the overall, who are you? Where are you from? Give us the big picture and then we'll go from there.
All right. Well, thank you, first of all, Julie, for having me on your podcast. Actually, I'll start with how Julie and I met, right? So Julie and I met at a national conference in Palm Springs for LGBTQ real estate agents. And we've just been Facebook friends for years. And I saw how much fun she was having in Austin. So when I'm freezing my butt off in cold Washington State, I'm watching her, oh, it's 80 degrees and, and so forth. And I'm thinking, oh, that's pretty cool. And I also was following you talking about how the market in Austin was blowing up and going crazy. So yeah, it's great that we made that connection. And well, I moved to Austin.
I want to talk more about that, but let's go back. We're coming back. We're going to put a pin in that
okay. We're going to put a pin in that. Now let me get to the intro.
Okay.
You're right. So that's kind of how Julie and I met, and I did join under EXP with Julie. So just so you know, but who am I? So
initially, and we're going to talk about that too.
Okay, sure. So that's two pins.
2 pins.
All right. So I was born and raised in Silicon Valley. That would be San Jose, California. I watched San Jose go from walnut cherry orchards into the tech boom and hub that it is now. Houses there used to be in the few hundred thousands to now you can get a 2-bedroom condo for $1 million. Yeah. So it's nuts. Yeah. I will add, I moved to San Francisco, which is an hour from San Jose. I lived there for almost 10 years. I did sell real estate there as well. Mm-hmm. And, it was just crazy expensive. So bottom line is, born and raised in Silicon Valley, I had moved to the Portland, Oregon, Vancouver metro for a change of scenery. I did real estate there. And the reason I moved was housing affordability. You can get something gorgeous out there for a good price. So then the pandemic happened, and I ended up just feeling like I had just bought a house too. I was really excited to do my successful real estate business in my new home by the lake, by the golf course. I mean, hey, it's a dream, right? Yeah. But with cold weather keeping you indoors 6 months out of the year, and then very strict pandemic restrictions, I said, I'm not going to be okay with my mental health, feeling like I'm in solitary confinement with no community.
Yeah. How long had you been there?
I'd been there for 7 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I decided to move, because when it's cold and over there, when it's 30 degrees or 40 degrees, over here, it was 70.
Yeah.
Sometimes 80.
Well, and I think that let's jump into this, because I think this is such an interesting part of your story of how you're a successful realtor, and it takes we've been around for a while. It takes some real effort to build your business and to get it to that point where things really kick in. And you were a realtor in San Francisco, then to the Northwest. You got that established, and you've moved to you're doing it again. You moved your business to Austin, Texas, and I want to talk about that because I think it's a reset. It's a start over. Yeah. You were starting from scratch in Austin. It's been about a year.
Well, I moved here a year ago, and then I was finishing my license. So I got my license in June of last year. So yeah,
right. Your Texas license, because you have a license in
I'm still licensed up north.
Yeah, up north. Okay, so tell me what's it like to do that? So to start fresh, and I know some of the answers because I've been around you and we've talked. Yeah. But I think for other realtors who may listen to this, and it's interesting because it's like there are a whole bunch of realtors out there that just simply need to do this without moving. kind of the reset. But even if you physically move to a new area, how do you start over? How do you start fresh? It's like, look, I need to line up clients now. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I had fully expected to just be really busy out the gate, and that didn't happen. I am thankful though that my business up north is still strong. So I was able to survive on some savings and referrals, because I gave out a lot of referrals. So that was great. But, this first year, it has been a challenge. Yes, I've had some transactions, but nothing compared to the volume that I had in my established business.
Yeah.
So that is difficult because it's a whole different mind shift. And then I just have to be gentle with myself and just remind myself, the reason I moved was for my mental health.
Yeah.
Due to the pandemic. And, okay, I can get there. I've been there before. It's going to take me some time. So what are things that I can do? And I have to remind myself and be gentle with myself too, that there were a lot of times we weren't allowed to do stuff indoors in Austin when I moved here. So how do I network? How do I meet potential buyers and sellers? I had my plate full, because here I was trying to get familiar with the areas and the market, and there was a lot going on as well. And I did make connections, and those connections sometimes, the people you meet, the new people you meet in Austin at a coffee shop or at an event that express interest in buying or selling, I just have to remind myself, sometimes they'll transact right away, and sometimes they won't be until 6 months or a year or 2 years later. So what I did is I created a database, and I still have that, an Excel database of people who have expressed to me, yes, I want to buy. Yes, I want a rental property. Yes, I want to sell. And I keep following up with them. And in some cases, they had said, oh, I've decided to put my money in stock. And well, we all know that stock market tanked.
Well, and maybe they're reconsidering that. So
exactly.
that's
so
a
now
good follow-up call.
Yes. And so now I transacted with one client, and she's like, as soon as I hit, ground in Texas on the property we're closing on, Ricki, we're going to invest. And we decided that we're going to partner together on property, because we have a common goal of having income property.
Nice. I like that. Well, and I've watched what you're doing on Facebook. Well, one, I think you really bring the right energy to the table. I want to start there, just kind of as advice to other agents. And this is me observing you, is I saw 2 things that you did really foundationally to set your foundation. And one was you were really clear on why you were moving here. So that was just very clear. And of course, I love that you've had to kind of coach yourself and remind yourself to be gentle with yourself in the process. That's pretty cool. But the other thing is just your energy that you're bringing to the table. You have phenomenal energy. You're uplifting, but I've seen what you're doing on Facebook. You're all over town with your dogs, 1 dog or 2 dogs?
I've got 1 dog. His name's Mambo.
Mambo, I'm like, and of course people are going to look at the dog stuff all the time, right? Dogs, kittens, and babies, right? It's the magic. It's the magic online. So you've brought that to the table. So I think that you are an authentic people attractor just with your energy, and Mambo helps a lot. He's a good sidekick.
He's amazing. And, I really do try to present my authentic self.
Yeah.
Because, I've got one life to live, and I just want to be me, Yeah. So I post lots of fun stuff that I do, and some real estate stuff on my personal Facebook page. And, I do have a professional page as well.
But that's not as interesting as your personal page, right? Well, and look at what you're doing in Austin. You're doing so much of the cool Austin stuff. You're like, look, this is my new town. So you're out exploring and you're taking photos and it's like, look, Mambo and I are at this coffee shop. Mambo and I are downtown. Mambo and I are at the park. Mambo and I, you're all over the place. Well, and you're doing the stuff that it's like, oh man, I haven't done that in a while. Oh, it's like, wow, Ricki's going to places that I haven't been to in a long time. It's like, I need to get off my butt and get out there in my community. So just kudos to you. When I moved to Austin, oh my God, it was a long time ago, 26 years ago, I think. I moved here from Minneapolis. I wasn't in real estate yet. But when I moved here, I told myself, anytime I was invited to anything for the first 365 days, there was only one acceptable answer. And that was yes.
That's great.
It's like I kind of see you doing that. You're like, nope, I'm in. I'll go. Yes. Okay. Fun. Sounds good. Oh, I get to meet new people. Great. Oh, can I bring a dog? Oh my God, I'm so in, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So first, I want to go back to my why. So, I moved here because of the pandemic and my mental health. But the other reason I moved to Austin was because I saw that it was a booming real estate market. And I thought, wait a second, I'm going to be able to make a living here. Okay, because I'm not going to go somewhere where there's no jobs, right? And being that it's a parallel to Silicon Valley, I thought, I know Silicon Valley. I know what's going to happen here. I know that it's going to be really tough for me, maybe the first year, but I'm going to do phenomenal here.
Yeah, you will.
So I see the long-term vision. And as a matter of fact, when I first moved here, I would say the first 6 months, I did not want to work with any buyers because who wants to go up against 50 offers, 100 offers?
It's hard.
And, I have to put food on the table. So, I decided to change my whole marketing to find sellers that were going to be ready soon or in the near future. Okay. Yeah. And so, I'm learning and growing and changing things about my business as I go. Now I feel more comfortable representing buyers because yes, it's still crazy competitive, but it's not undoable. I mean, the pricing of properties is closer than it ever was before in terms of ask price and close price.
So let me ask you this. And these aren't even on, I sent you some questions beforehand and we may or may not even get there. Since you've done real estate in the Bay Area.
Yes.
Okay. And those dynamics and you're seeing that play out in Austin right now. How are we doing in Austin? Or it's kind of like, or what's your prediction or what is your advice even for realtors, how to best navigate? Now there's so many markets around the country that are explosive right now.
Right.
And everybody's low inventory. So a lot of us has those dynamics. I think what we're experiencing in Austin is very specific, kind of that Bay Area dynamic. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I'm just interested in just kind of your thoughts on.
So my thoughts, that's a good question because real estate here in Texas is very different than what I had experienced in California, Washington, and Oregon. Mm-hmm. I wasn't familiar with what's done here, which is wholesaling, so that was new. Okay. And I'd never done my business cold calling or door knocking.
Yeah.
I'd done some farming before. So obviously, if you're stuck at home, you have to do things differently. So I started to pick up the phone. I did make some connections. I did make some offers on property. I think as an agent to survive, you have to be creative and you have to have different tricks up your sleeve to produce income for yourself as an agent. Like for me, that's why I want a partner. I have several clients who have said, Ricki, you find the investment, we'll provide the cash and we'll partner with you because I know how to analyze property. I know how to find good deals, how to get them at great prices, even in this market. And I'm not just sticking to Austin. I'm willing to go to San Marcos, to Taylor, Texas, San Antonio. I've flown to El Paso and looked at properties, a 4-unit for $415, bringing in $3,300 a month. That's really not bad.
Oh, wow.
And it's built in 2011. I'm in contract in McAllen, Texas, and it's an hour and a half away from the most beautiful beaches I've seen yet in Texas, the South San Padre Islands.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's gorgeous, and you can get good property out there. I'm going to be flying out there again, handing the keys over to my buyer and also looking at an investment with her.
I mean, that's some really, really, that's amazing stuff. I mean, there are investors in Austin that would jump all over that. There are investors on the West Coast that would jump all over that. So you have a good database. That doesn't even have to be a local database to work those properties and find those deals and to partner with the right people. I think you just have some really cool stuff going on. Yeah, you need to. I wasn't aware that you had done the McCallum stuff, El Paso.
Yes.
That you're finding stuff like that. I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's great too. And the only reason that I'm finding it is because I happen to have family in El Paso, so I've seen it change over the years. And our family, I have my dad bought a property there. For a brand new for 135, it's now worth, let's say 190, okay, in 4 years.
Yeah.
And you can get a brand new duplex there, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath on each side for 384. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, where do you find decent cash flow properties that don't break the bank getting into them and have decent cash flow once you're into them, right? And Austin, those days are maybe behind us in Austin.
Well, I see a lot of opportunity here in this market that I don't see in the other markets. The Portland, Oregon, Vancouver, Washington markets where I worked for the last, 7 years, there's, especially in Clark County, which is Vancouver, Washington area, there's not a lot of duplexes or multifamily, okay. To purchase. The duplexes are going to be really old. Now, here in Austin, what I like is there's a whole lot more duplexes out there. In Killeen, you can get them for $330, really nice ones, newer. If you move closer to Austin, you can get, depending on the condition, between $450 and $650 for a duplex. But the best part about it is that you can spend $10,000-15,000, have an attorney condo convert it. And as an investor, I could remodel both sides and then sell each side separately.
Yeah.
Now, talk about making some good money right there.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of opportunities here for fix and flip properties where you get something that needs a lot of love. You get it at a decent price, fair market value, or hopefully below. And you put in that 50,000 or 100,000 and then sell it 4 months later or sooner if you can find the right contractors and make some good money on that between you and your investor partners.
Yeah. I love it.
So I'm trying to think about real estate in ways I've never thought about before. And on top of that, just so you know, I am part of the Central Texas Commercial Real Estate Association. So I am also have a portfolio of clients that I'm going to be representing in commercial leases, commercial purchases. Yeah. And I'm actively taking classes and learning about it because, it is something that I'm newer to compared to residential and investing.
Yeah, but you've got that hustle, you speak the language. Yeah, I think a big part of what I love about your story is how you've just allowed yourself to, you said, try new things. I mean, you didn't, it's like, well, I'm going to do exactly what I've done before because I know it works. Well, I'm sure you're doing plenty of that, but at the same time, you're like, well, hold on. I'm going to turn every stone and see which ones are viable right now in Austin and in Texas. And I love that you're not afraid to just jump on a plane and go check them out. That's phenomenal. Really is. There's an agent in our group, a couple agents I want to introduce you to. You haven't met everybody yet. Let me ask you this. What advice do you find yourself, or if you could, but what advice do you find yourself like offering or wanting to offer to other agents, like on a regular basis? Kind of like, what's some of your go-to advice when you're talking to agents?
So the bottom line is, you got to be willing to learn. And if there's a coaching program at your brokerage, definitely get into some kind of mentorship or coaching program where you can learn from people who have done it and have, can give you good recommendations. Definitely recommend reading real estate books. I've read Julie's
I've got a
book.
really good one.
Yeah, well, I like your book. I'm not going to lie. I mean, yes, you've got a great one.
Right here. Okay, let's see if there it is. So it's
That's
on
right.
Amazon, but this is helping a lot of agents. So
Oh, no, I know. As a matter of fact, I purchased it even before you became my sponsor at EXP, even before I moved to Austin. After I met you at the real estate conference and you gave your speech about your book, I thought, she's got some valuable points. I read it and I love your story too, how you started with your friends and you invited them over and asked them, hey, do you know anybody, that needs help buying or selling? And it started with your sphere of influence, that's powerful.
Yeah. Well, and it's not difficult, but it does. One of the things that I like to say is, and I swear, I think I say this in any class that I teach ever, or presentation or class, is we're in the business of having conversations with people about real estate. And so you get to ask yourself every day, how am I going to have some decent conversations today with some people about real estate? And you create that. And that's what you're doing. You're creating those opportunities. Tell me, when you first started in real estate, when was that? When did you get your real estate license in California?
Oh, well, I've had a few tries at this, I think around 2000 in San Francisco,
Yeah.
I started off as a real estate assistant and did real estate there. And then, then we had the Iraq war, the dot-com bomb.
Yeah.
That just went to heck. And then the stock market crash. So those three things happened and everything stopped for 6 months. And, at that time I had just transitioned from assistant to agent. And I thought, well, I can't make a living if I don't have a paycheck for 6 months. So I did transition into something else, and I never thought at that time in real estate, I thought nobody's going to pay more than $1 million for a house. I couldn't have been more wrong.
Right.
So everything halted for 6 months during that recession. And then it went bonkers after that. So I didn't know that was going to happen because by then I had moved out.
Yeah.
I had
so
moved
you had
out
to come back in. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe it was 2008. I don't remember quite clearly, but anyways, so that was my experience.
Well, and now it's interesting, because we have the pandemic thing, and that slowed you down. You were in the Northwest when that hit. You already saw what was going on in Austin. You understood that was impacting our economy right at the time and the business, but you saw beyond that. And maybe that was your experience before.
So what happened is, I had thought, gosh, with this pandemic, if it keeps going, I need to go to a warmer climate so I can interact with people and not be so isolated. And yes, I was watching the market, but by the time I had made the decision, like I'm ready to go, the market kept getting even worse, hotter, crazy, insane. And then I thought to myself, how am I going to make a living if it's that insane? Because if I'm representing buyers, because usually when you start out with representing buyers, how am I going to compete with these 50, 100 offers on these houses?
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little scared and intimidated. I'm not going to lie.
Well, but you adapted. That's one takeaway I'm getting from you, and you adapted quickly. But think of your motivation. You're like, I'm going to make money. I need to make money.
Right.
I don't want to tap into my savings too much. A little bit. Right. I understand that's kind of part of the deal, kind of part of the landscape. So what would you say, like, if we're looking at this year, what would you say that you're working on? So here we are, almost the end of March. What's your focus this year?
Well, I think I'm going to go back to what I was doing even last year. I realized I need to diversify. So how am I going to survive as an agent? Well, I got to make lots of connections.
Yeah.
I got to go attend things. I got to meet people. I got to have conversations. Yes. I'm going to dabble in commercial because I like it actually. So I want to explore that.
Yeah.
And investing, duplexes, condo converting, maybe flip and fix.
Yeah.
Also, looking at other markets. So that's kind of still what I'm doing now. And I have had conversations with my huge database of past clients in Oregon and Washington. And several of them had said, Ricki, tell me all about Texas. They're interested in investing. So, I'm going to be having those conversations as well.
There you go. When you have all those California connections, California is one of the biggest sources of people moving into the Austin metro area right now. I think California and Florida actually keep flipping back and forth for first and second place, but it's anyone who has connections in California. Those are important phone calls for us to make in Austin, Texas. It's like, hey, who do you know who may be moving to Austin this year? Now, those are buyer leads typically,
right?
But those are California buyer leads, and they understand the dynamics of this market. It does not intimidate them. They get it. They've been around it for a while. So that works. I like to end these podcasts with really, because think of our audience, and the audience is primarily our realtor friends and colleagues in sphere across the country. What's a piece of advice that you have for agents? The
best piece of advice is I do recommend reading books on real estate and other stories and recommendations of how to, jumpstart your business and so forth. 2 is get into a coaching mentoring program if you're just starting out, or join a team if you're just starting out, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's going to be ready clients for you to transact with, and you're going to learn along the way. I highly recommend that. Number 4, think outside the box. Besides just residential selling and buying, think about buying a 4-plex and maybe moving into one, because, you can do it with 5% down. That's a great way to build your real estate portfolio. Yeah. How are you as an agent going to diversify your holdings or your income?
I like that
as well.
You've touched on kind of the mentoring and coaching, and I want to, this is out of order a little bit, but I wanted to talk about, there was a brokerage you were with on the West Coast, and you moved to Austin, and you're with a small brokerage for a bit, and you recently chose to come join me at EXP, which I'm really excited about. But tell me a little bit about, kind of those broker choices along the way, those decisions, and what that was like for you and what you were looking for.
Sure. Well, the reason at first, the whole plan was come to Austin, join EXP with Julie, I'm done. But then I had just, I saw this other local brokerage that was one local. Number 2, they were doing real estate really differently. They have a wholesale division. They're willing to partner on you. If you find a good deal, like a fix or flip, and you don't have the money for it, they're willing to partner in and provide the cash and work with you on the deal, which I found interesting. They did driving for dollars. I mean, they did cold calling, all these different things that I thought, oh gosh, I should learn about that, because I've never done stuff like that before. I did learn a lot. I think they're a great company. I'm not going to say anything negative about them, because, I really can't. The reason I chose to leave was I just wanted to join a nationwide company.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that, if I bring on people, there's, a sponsorship program, there's good coaching. And I know EXP is international. And guess what? I'm Mexican American, and I have family. And I have a real estate friend who's purchased property in Mexico, and that's not outside of my thinking. As a matter of fact, I was just emailed the owner of a 2 units on a small beach town just south of Puerto Vallarta, listed for $174,000. 2 units.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's really cool. Yeah. So, I think it's really kind of a reflection on how your needs how your needs evolved and changed, and in each of your brokerage choices made sense for you at the time. I'm really excited about this Mexico piece for you, of course, because it's really a phenomenal opportunity. We're expanding so fast. So I think that's really cool. Okay, very good. So how can people find you if they're listening to this podcast?
Well, if you just Google Ricki, Ricki, last name Anaya, Anaya, and Austin, Texas, you'll find me, or you can go to my website, liveloveaustinmetro.com, or you can call me 512-910-2829.
Very good. It's easy to find you. And they can ping me if they want to find you too.
Yeah, I'm on the most wanted posters.
Right. Yeah. Just don't end up on the milk carton, right?
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, my friend, thank you so much for joining
you,
today. And I know I'll see you around town.
Yes, sounds
All
great.
right.
Thanks.
Okay.